Hi everyone, in this video I would like to share a strategy with you guys that is called the VWAP short squeeze. This strategy has been working out pretty nicely for me for the past few months with a very high win percentage and high risk to reward. So let's see what is a VWAP short squeeze. VWAP short squeeze mainly happens because of two reasons on a weak stock that has gapped down because of a news catalyst. The first reason is that the long-term short holders cover seeking profit taking at the market open or after the first 15-20 minutes of the initial sell-off on a weak stock. The second reason is that the retail traders who go short for a continuation move get squeezed when the stock hits their stop loss point, which is usually VWAP. This strategy works best on stock in an overall downtrend with high short float percent. Understanding the mentality behind short squeeze will help you improve your win percentage near VWAP for other strategies like VWAP false breakout, ABCDs, etc. So entry signals. The first case is that for going long above VWAP after the initial sell-off, stock should make higher lows on the 1 and the 5 minutes chart, hold a trend line, and be in a 5 minutes uptrend. What I mean by this is that, for example, this is a 9:30 a.m. line, and say this is the VWAP. So what happens is that the stock opens weak. So what I mean by this is that the stock was weak at 9:30 a.m. The stock pops up to the VWAP. You take this for a rising devil trade. It opens weak. Then it starts to make higher lows on the 1 minute chart. It holds a trend line. So what I mean by that is that, for example, it's holding this trend line. So you can go long at the break of the VWAP and the break of the 50 SMA on the 1 minute chart for a continuation move above VWAP. In the second case, let's look at the second case. For going short after the opening squeeze, 5 minutes should show signs of weakness like bearish engulfing, bearish dojis, etc. What I mean by this is that, for example, this is a 9:30 a.m. line, and this is a VWAP. So the stock was initially selling off. So the stock before the 9:30 a.m. market open, the stock was selling off, but at 9:30 a.m. it squeezes above VWAP. So this means that the long-term short holders are covering seeking profit taking at the market open. So after the first 15, 20, 30 minutes, what happens is that the stock makes a bearish engulfing candlestick, or it makes bearish doji, and the stock was already gapping down. So what you can do is that you can take it short below the VWAP and below the 50 SMA for a continuation move down. This is the best case because you can expect a big move. You are taking it short in the direction of the overall trend and the overall gap down. In the first case, you are taking long on a weak stock. So you can expect a good move out of it, not a very good move. Sometimes it goes to the moon, but not every time. But in the second case, you can expect a big move because the stock will continue selling off for the rest of the day in most of the cases. What are the exit signals? So you can exit at the daily levels, break off the trend line, pre-market levels, decrease of volume in the direction of trade, etc. So now let's see a few examples of this strategy using the new DAS replay mode. So the first example is of ANF. We will also see a live video showing this trade. So if you see, the stock has been in an overall downtrend if you look at the weekly chart, and the short float is 21%. On 26th of November, the stock was gapping down around 4 to 5% and was because of a news catalyst. And the short float is also high. So this caught my attention, and now let's see what happens with ANF at the market open. So this is a live video of what happened with ANF on 26th of November 2019, and let's see what happens. So on this day, it was gapping down around 4 to 5% and was because of a news catalyst, so that is good. And the short float is 21%, so that is also good. So you can take it short for an open range breakdown at the break of this wedge because the stock is gapping down, so that is also a good strategy. But in this video, we will talk about the short squeeze aspect of this stock. So now the 15 is yesterday's low. So let's see, it's holding the 15 level. The buyer stepped in or increased volume. See, the buying volume is greater than selling volume. So if you don't note the volume as of now, it's very good to note the volume on the buying and the bullish and the bearish candlesticks, because it gives you a pretty good idea if the stock is more of a long or a short. So at the VWAP, let's see what happens. So as per the introduction of this video, you need to enter above the break of the VWAP and the 50 SMA. So now let's see. See, it held this trend line. Okay. Now it broke the VWAP, it broke the 50 SMA. So you can enter above the 50 SMA with the stop loss below the VWAP or below this trend line. If you see that the VWAP is holding, in my opinion, if you wait for a new 1 minute high, it's too late by then because this is a panic strategy. people like us who are thinking of taking it short for an ABCD move down will get squeezed, and long-term short investors will cover seeking profit taking. So if you, for example, if you're thinking of taking it short below ABCD, you won't take it short because now you're seeing higher lows below the VWAP on the 1 minute chart. So this will increase your win percentage for ABCD strategies. Now, and you can enter at 15.5 with a stop loss, or 15.6 with a stop loss below 15.45, and that is 15 cents of risk. And let's see what happens further. So it gives you around 70 to 80 cents in a matter of couple of seconds. So if you will be jumping out of your chair, or if you're standing because after seeing this candlestick, because it gave you around 6 to 7 hours in a matter of couple of seconds. You can cover at 16.3 because 16.3 was 2 days ago high. You can cover at 16.5 because 16.5 is yesterday high. And I will get out completely if it breaks a 16.3 level, because these two levels are pretty obvious levels on the daily chart. You can get out completely. Personally, I hold 20-30% of my shares just to see if it holds the trend line or not. In this case, see, I will pause the video. This was a trend line that we drew originally. It broke this trend line. I will get out completely because this stock is no longer a long for me if it breaks the trend line. This is the only strategy in which I use trend lines. I rarely use trend lines. I only use levels, but this strategy works well if you see that a trend line is holding. And now it's not breaking the 16.38 level. It's not even breaking the VWAP. So it's not even a long, not even a short. So see, understanding the mentality behind short squeeze, you won't take it short below VWAP. So it will help you increase the win percentage of your ABCD, VWAP falls, breakout, and VWAP reversals as well. I think it only chops around the VWAP. Let's see another example of Corn. Corn was a stock in play on 12th of December 2019, and the stock has been in an overall downtrend. And look at the short float percent, it's 41%. We will see in the video that the pre-market action is not very good, but because the short float is very high, this was in my watch list particularly for a short squeeze trade. And let's see what happens. So this is a live video of Corn from 10th of December 2019. So let's see what happens. The pre-market action is not very great, but I had this stock in my watch list just because of the short squeeze trade. I won't take it short or long because the pre-market is not great in my opinion. See this chop. Let's see what happens. So I will just fast forward this video. So now it's breaking the 50 SMA. I will pause it here and let's see what happens. So it held this trend line. It's making higher lows on the 1 minute chart below the VWAP. It squeezes above VWAP. It breaks the 50 SMA. So what's an idle entry? I will enter if I see that the 50 SMA is holding. See, 50 SMA was holding. So you can enter at 14.7 or 14.75 with a stop loss below the VWAP or below the 50 SMA if you see it's holding for 3 candlesticks. And also note that the buying volume is greater than the selling volume here. See, selling volume is lower than the buying volume. So it's good to enter. You are already long biased on this stock, so you can enter above the 50 SMA with a stop loss below the VWAP, and you will get a very good risk to reward in a matter of couple of seconds. So you can partial at the 15 level. 15 is a whole dollar level. See, it's holding the 15 level. Maybe I will get out 50% of my position at the 15 level. And now it's not making a higher high on the VWAP, above the VWAP. It never made a higher high above the VWAP, and then it's coming back lower and you can get out completely. So what I told you in the previous video is that if it breaks the trend line, I will get out completely. See, it broke this trend line, I will get out completely here. So you can partial 50% here, 30-40% here. Usually I only keep 20% of my shares for a short squeeze trade because this is a short-term trade. You can't expect a very big move. Sometimes the stock goes to the moon, but you can't expect the stock to do that every time. Now here's another example of short squeeze trade. NKTR on 15th of January. It's the most recent example. Was a stock in play. It was gapping down around 10% or 11%, and the short float is 27%. And after this day, the short float has gone down to 16-15% because many people have already covered. But the short float was 27%, and the short float is high. The stock is in an overall downtrend, so this makes it a good candidate for a short squeeze trade. So let's see what happens at the market open. So here's a live video of NKTR from the 15th of January 2020. Let's see what happens with NKTR. So NKTR was gapping down 11%, but it opened strong. If you see, it opened strong. So the short squeeze is already happening because the stock was gapping down 11%. The short float was 26-27%. So this is the short squeeze that is happening right now. The long-term short holders are seeking profit taking. So you can take it long at the market open, but personally, I don't like trading. I don't like longing a weak stock for the first 4-5 minutes. So I will wait if the stock sells off below the VWAP because the short squeeze is happening and eventually it will stop. So the profit taking will stop eventually and the sellers will kick in again. Because the stock is in an overall downtrend, the long-term investors will look to short this stock at a good price. So now it has squeezed above VWAP. Now see, it made two bearish dojis on the 5. So you can take it short below the 50 SMA. So this is the 50 SMA. You can take it short below the 50 SMA on the 1, or you can wait for a new 5-minute low, or you can even wait for the break of the VWAP. It's up to you. But you have to put the stop loss above the 50 SMA on the 1. So let's see what happens. Now it's closing below the 50 SMA. It went below the VWAP. See the momentum of the short squeeze. Like the short squeeze has happened. Now there are not any more buyers in this stock because the stock has been in an overall downtrend with high short float percentage. So not many buyers are interested in this stock. It will just head down lower. There's no buying pressure. Let's see what happens. I will fast forward this video. This was a huge trade. Let's see. See, it never made a new 5-minute high. It made one 5-minute high, but let's look here. So even if you look at the volume, see the bearish volume is high. The one bullish candlestick that was here was on a very low volume. So there's no need to get out early. You can hold this stock, and when the buying volume starts to increase, you can get out here, maybe here. Even if you get out here on the second bullish candlestick when it made two new 5 minutes high, you already got like 15 hours from this trade. What else do you want from this trade? So in this case, the short squeeze already happened and we took it short below the VWAP because all the profit taking has been done. So now the sellers will take control and the retail traders like us will take control who are focusing on the 5-minute chart. So unfortunately, I did not take this trade, but on my journal, if I find a good short squeeze trade, I note that down in my journal. So this was also a very good example. So if you have any questions, leave a comment down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. See ya.